Mark, Sargent, how the devil are you? Welcome to Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. My name is Herschel36, and I believe we live on a globe.
Yeah, you'd say that, but I don't think that's necessarily true because you had David Weiss on recently.
Yeah. I've had the American Jew on. Yeah, he's been great. He's been great fun. He's quality. He is
Wait,
hilarious.
wait, there are Jews in America?
There are the Jews all over the place.
I
Starting with
heard rumors, but I wasn't absolutely sure on that.
yeah. I asked him. So David, is it true that you're Jewish? And he said, Yoni, well, I can't do the accent clearly. Yeah, I can't believe you. You can't even do the accent. I'm not going to go there.
Like the nasally New York.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't you tell by my accent or whatever it is? I can't do it. I can't do
is the rye bread fresh?
it. So, Mark, what's been
Yeah.
going on your flat plane recently? What are the major topics hanging out from your shoes? Because there's a hell of a lot going on in America right now, and there's quite a lot going on in Europe. And when I speak to people around the world about Europe, they go, "Oh my word, it's disastrous." But of course, it's very quiet here. But tell me about America, and tell me a little bit about flat Earth.
Flat Earth in America has reached what I consider to be sort of a critical point in its I don't even want to use the word evolution, its development, which is that the numbers have gotten so high over the last 3 months as far as relevant hits that people with I'll be as blunt as I can here. People with money are smelling money,
Oh,
basically.
really?
Oh yeah, it's gotten well because in fact I did a little stat thing. You could probably look it up, or I could send you a link real quick, where I was doing like the daily stats. So if you type in, it was called Flat Earth versus mainstream media, and I did a couple weeks worth of stats. And what I was doing was because I'm a statistics nut when it comes to the flat Earth and a lot of other topics. But you compare mainstream media topics to what flat Earth is and you get some really surprising results. Like, for example, if you type in and just go to YouTube, because I consider YouTube really an honest representation of what the mainstream media, what's hot and what's not. You can go into YouTube and figure this out, and it's actually turns out pretty relative of what's true. For example, if you type in Neil deGrasse Tyson into YouTube, you may get 400,000 hits, maybe 500,000 hits. Jennifer Lawrence, maybe 1.5 million, and you work your way up. American Idol, 5, 6 million, and finally, when you get to if you type in flat Earth, you get about 7 million hits. And if you type in Earth is flat, you get 10.5 million hits. And by that I mean relevant search, articles that are in YouTube. And you're thinking, okay, what's the point? The point is that everything else in the list that I created we're talking Grammy winners, Emmy winners, Oscar winners, huge franchises. Earth is Flat scores higher than the entire Harry Potter franchise. It scores higher than everything ever put out by NASA. Things that have been out for years and years, and Flat Earth has been beating these guys up in only 18 months. And why is this important? It's important because, and this is what I've been putting out to the people that have been the producers that have been kind of sniffing around recently, which is like, look, no one's made a freaking dime on this thing. I mean, not real money, not mainstream money. Everything else what I've been talking about here has been done with massive marketing dollars. Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, American Idol. It just goes on and on. Gwen Stefani, huge amounts of money have been made, and huge amounts of money have been spent, but flat Earth is virgin territory for this. And so now finally some guys are out there, they're looking, it's like, oh wait, and granted, are they true flat Earth believers? No. Are they in it for the money? Yes, they are. But that's how this thing is going to eventually break wide open, is because someone eventually is going to take the chance, make an independent project.
Yep.
Either a television series, a documentary, or a science fiction type film. And they're going to it's either going to be the biggest flop of all time. You can already see the headlines, flat earthers falls flat, something like that. Or it'll be the most, I still think it'll be the most polarizing show of all time, which is it'll be, you've seen this in the forums, the arguments, the huge brawls that break out because people, it's so, nobody's on the fence about this. So that's kind of where we are now. Well, that and combined with the topics that have come up recently, like the trees thing, if you caught that, the wave of the trees phenomena that all of a sudden came out of nowhere, which was I think still think very very interesting. Didn't resonate with me as much as it did other people. David
No.
was yeah, David was just absolutely floored. He contacted me right off the bat and said you gotta drop everything and watch this. I was like what? And I'm watching this, but I was so open minded to everything that it didn't really surprise me that much. It's like, oh yeah, sure, why not? Version 1.0, version 2.0.
Well, Crow 777, he said to me, "Listen, I don't. He doesn't really dig the whole forest thing at all. He thinks it's a whole load of shenanigans and just another theory." But you are right. There's a massive amount of information about flat Earth on YouTube, online.
Yeah.
People blogging about it, people talking about it. But in mainstream European conversation, if you mention the world might be flat, you
I,
are deemed an absolute nut. Okay,
yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. Even if you suggest that Osama bin Laden didn't organise the bombing of the Twin Towers, you are suggested to be a conspiracy theorist.
Hmm.
So it just goes on and on. And what has come up for me in recent months is, we have the US presidential selection taking place
Oh
between
yeah.
Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and and it's an incredible production. It's an
Yeah.
incredible production. Now you mentioned David Weiss. He did a fantastic job of illustrating that Hillary was on stage to an audience that wasn't there, all green
Yeah.
screen, right? And
Yeah.
so, if that's true, then what? If that's the case, if Hillary can pretend that she's in front of a few thousand people when she's not,
Yeah.
and the whole mainstream press is going with it, then
Yeah.
hang on, what else are they lying to us about? I mean,
Yeah.
what else are they lying to us about? How deep does this thing go? And you also talk at some point about that flat Earth would actually reconfirm this existence of God. Now, God either is or he isn't. You're either flat or you're round, and these things are very clear. A few of
Yeah.
us sit on the fence, and it can be rather uncomfortable one way or another. But
Yeah.
the point that I'm getting to is a lot of conversation. You've got PK Truth banging on about the fact that all these terrorist attacks are nothing more than false flags. Again, theatre after theatre after theatre. So, Mark, what is going on?
I believe it's all related. David, I think, you would probably allude to this as well, which is the elections, the American elections is tied to this in some way, in that it was something I suggested several months ago, which was it really surprised me. I know outside the United States, it's a different opinion of what's going on with the American elections, but I've never seen one where either candidate no one wants him. No one wants either. I mean, Democrats, honestly, there's a lot of Democrats that don't want Hillary, and there's a lot of Republicans that don't want Donald Trump. I mean, I tried to boil it down to this. It's like, really, has the American election system come down to, for president of the United States, it's come down to the jilted wife of an ex-president or a reality television star? Those are our choices. It's so far out there. It's like, okay, so it's either going to be the first woman president in history, or it's going to be the first non-politician in history. A guy that.
Well, hang on. Are you telling me that Barack Obama was a politician? Get
Well, no,
out.
no, no, no,
You know,
no, no. I know. I don't believe it for a second. And I was one of those people that thought the birth certificate. I know full well that he was not born here, and that they skirted that issue and they fabricated the thing, and then
he's not.
then they killed.
He's not even black. He's not even black. He's not even black. Okay,
I
and I don't even. Let's not go down his
yeah.
sexuality conversation, and let's not go down the conversation of
Yeah.
who Mike Michelle is. Let's not even
Yeah,
go there.
exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was that Michael or Michelle? I can't. I keep forgetting. But yeah, or the Joan Rivers thing. Yeah, that I knew. I knew the second she went into that hospital. By the way, because when Joan Rivers died, why she died, because she didn't pull back the joke. She's a comedian by trade, but she's very well respected in the Hollywood community. And when she didn't pull back the joke, that was it. That was, you don't go saying, "Oh yeah, but the first lady is actually a guy," and then you don't kid, you don't laugh, you don't do anything. dead serious, walk into the hospital. It's like, really? You're doomed because at that point they had to. I'm sorry, I have to say this, but you had to take care of her from a Secret Service standpoint because the follow-up questions were never going to ever go away. She was every time she was interviewed from that point forward, that question's going to come up, and they couldn't take that chance. Anyway,
That's right. That's a very good point.
so here's the deal. What I was thinking was is like because several people I've talked to in my circles have agreed with me on this is that the two candidates we've got there are so distasteful. You know, nobody wants them. That maybe there's a third option, and that is what's the third option? I go, what if Obama stays in office? And
Exactly.
you heard some of this already, where it's like it makes perfect sense because that's if I was going to write this, if I was going to play this out, this is what I would do. You make two candidates that are so horrible that the incumbent, even though he's hated, you know, is still it's like, well, at least we know him. Devil you know versus the devil you don't know. But it's like, oh, how can he stay in office? You have to have some sort of crisis, whether domestic or international, can be either. You know, it could be a multi-stage terrorist attack against the United States. It could be a multinational attack against, you know, take your pick, Paris, London, uh, Charleston, South Carolina. Take your pick. The but once that happens, and it's got to happen fairly soon, then you say, well, you know, the climate isn't good for any sort of election. You suspend the election, and it's like, okay, then what? Then you can go into anything. Then you can do whatever you want. For example, it's why would you do something like this? Because some people, and me included, have said that flat Earth is, you know, the people that have said flat Earth is a psyop, they're not wrong. Flat Earth is part of something bigger. Do I still think that flat Earth is absolutely real? Yes, I do. Do I think it's part of a multi-stage event? Yes, I do. It is part of it is if you believe if you're a boxing guy, you know, it's the left hook, the left jab before the right hook. The thing is, what's the right hook? What's bigger than flat Earth? What do you have to introduce flat Earth for? You know, I try to look at the bigger picture. You know, I've been doing this, you know, as long as anybody, except of Matt Boylan and a few months Eric was doing his before me. But the bigger picture is something like this. You need flat Earth to be explained by something. Meaning flat Earth was not anyone that thinks that flat Earth was introduced by accident are kidding themselves. Flat Earth, what I mean was, since I've been, you know, I'm a statistics nut and I've been going through this thing, I have never seen a topic which met with almost no resistance whatsoever. Now, people will say, well, no, Neil deGrasse Tyson came out on television and he talked about it, and there's other people that said that have condemned it. I'm just going, yeah, but that's just adding fuel to the fire. That's just firing wooden arrows into a bonfire. You know, it looks like you're doing something, but you're actually making it much, much worse. The search engines, for example, you can look this up on Google right now if you want. Even the search engine priority has changed. So if you type in Earth is or the Earth is into Google, see what's the first thing that shows up at the top of the list. And that's, you know, that's worldwide. The Earth is flat.
Okay, well, that's a very good point. I've just typed that in. People, you can do it yourself. I'm on google.co.uk. I typed in Earth is, and it came is flat. The next one is round. The next is Earth is flat truth, and then the next is Earth is hollow.
Yeah, nice.
Now,
and if you keep going down, it'll be like Earth is made by God and blah blah blah.
but this is interesting because Google is AI, it's artificial intelligence. Okay,
Yeah.
so every time we are engaging with Google, it becomes more intelligent. That the computer system, that the algorithm becomes more and more intelligent. So we're teaching the AI to be able to predict now. This very interesting. My first-hand experience of Google was before Brexit. Okay, I was long the markets the night before the vote for Brexit. I assumed that the UK was going to vote to stay in. Then I found a report on Google that said that their demographics have suggested that the exit vote was going to win. I made a couple of calls to a couple of friends, said, what do you think? They said, well, Google's generally right. Okay. And I went short, made a fortune, made an absolute fortune. I went short. So I sold my long positions on the DAX, the Dow, the CAC, and the FTSE, and took my profit. And then I went short. Boom. And it fell, you know, yeah, up to 10% the DAX fell. I can't remember off
Nice.
the top of my head. Yeah, but
That's
I'm
excellent.
not saying that because it's nice to win some cash because it always is. But I'm saying it's the
Sure.
power of Google and AI and the bigger question about what is flat Earth really going on. What's flat Earth all about? Because you've been on this bandwagon for, let's say, 18 months, maybe to 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, you're one of the pioneers, but of course, lots of people say that you're a shill.
Of
Okay,
course.
yeah, it's David Weiss is a shill apparently,
Yeah.
and so it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So there's a definite conversation taking place about flat Earth. You're not allowed to speak about it in normal circles, but it seems that the politicians and politics and global geopolitics seems to be a bit of a scam and nothing more than what I term Hollywood, which
Yeah.
is politics and Hollywood. So what is, through your experience, what you're going through right now, what's the bigger game?
The bigger game has got to be, and I hate to use it because you're going to have to put in some dramatic music over when I say this, dun dun dun, which is, look, eventually you're going to have to, if you're the powers that be, you're going to have to go for something which we've all been talking about for years and years, which is, it's going to sound cliche when I say it, the New World Order. How do you do that? Eventually you're going to have to do the Ronald Reagan speech, which is you're going to have to create a threat or some sort of outside influence, and you're going to have to introduce that to the population. It sounds insane. It sounds like a science fiction movie. It sounds like a Twilight Zone episode, but that's what you do. And by that, I mean, you set up the rumors of flat Earth to get people open-minded to things so that at the very least they don't, completely think that whatever's next is crazy, because flat Earth is the craziest thing ever, right? So what is bigger than flat Earth? There's only a couple things, unfortunately. If you're a plot writer, it's like, well, we've unfortunately we've funneled ourselves into one of two things, and that is, one would either be, and both of them actually are the same thing, which is you've got to create some sort of celestial event where the impression of it can be turned or steered into what the governments want. And by that, I mean, you can do it one of two ways. You can either, it again sounds insane, but I've said it on other things. You either introduce some sort of advanced civilization which has been hiding for a long time and been watching us from afar. That way you can get NASA off the hook and the government's off the hook. So I'm not saying exactly you need to have a giant golden spaceship land in the middle of London or Paris or wherever you want, but that would be one way of doing it. You have some sort of alien civilization show up or announce itself. Heck, maybe it's hovering in the sky, right? And they say, we're responsible. You're not living on a globe. You're living in an enclosed system. We were responsible for it, whether they are or not. It doesn't matter. First God that shows up wins. I hate to be glib about that when I talk about the major religions. It's like, really? Because you get a 1 in 5 chance of being right. And you better be right, because first God that shows up wins. Golden spaceship shows up. They say, oh yeah, we're the ones responsible. And by the way, we threatened your government, for not telling you. So all the bad things they've done over the years in our name are completely, they're in the clear. So NASA, gets a pass. I mean, that's the only way NASA is going to get a pass from this, because if they don't, they become the greatest class action lawsuit in our civilization. Literally trillions of dollars, where the lawsuit itself affects the worldwide currency markets and markets so heavily that it would become unstable. The companies involved are just too big to fail in this case. And you either do that or you create some other celestial event. And I hate to bring in the frickin' Nibiru Planet X thing. I hate to do it because, for the love of God, I have watched this thing. This has been on people's radar. Oh, I don't know, for 7-8 years longer. If you go way back, you can, people have been looking at it since the freaking 80s and 90s, but they're still talking about it now. But either way, regardless, if you see some sort of, here's the point. The point is, if you see whatever celestial event is going on, and it has to be celestial, it's got to be controlled. And here's where it gets fun, at least for the government's sake. Once that happens, Then you tie in a flat earth and closed world to it, and you say, okay, you're not on a globe. Everything turns. Everyone gets shocked into a whole new state of reality. And then one of the default side effects of it is that everyone becomes part of one family. And I don't want to, I'm not using this because because I want it to happen this way or I'm part of it. But it's like, doesn't that immediately become a new world order right off the bat? Because everyone's, part of the same group. Does anybody still go to war when this happens? Does everyone, do soldiers fight? If all of a sudden the sky, something happens that's bigger than them. That's what I think they're going for. This is their big shot. Eventually, that you have to make a big move in chess, something that really is the key move, and that's what I think they're going to do. I think that flat Earth is just the setting the stage for this. Now, is whatever this is bigger than flat Earth? No, I still think flat Earth is bigger, but you have to create it to give them at least the context, the framework to introduce something weirder, and that's where I think they're going with it. And
So you really feel that in the near future, in our lifetimes, that whoever they are, the government of some form, will disclose flat Earth?
they won't have to. But yes, you're right. They will disclose it, but I don't think they'll have to. I think they will disclose it through another civilization that will say that all the government will have to do is agree. It's like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
but the point being is that those in power, right, we're
yeah,
both.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And here's one of the reasons I believe this, because this topic, the way it's grown, the path it's grown, and the fact that the resistance just isn't there. When you go into YouTube, you want to suppress this thing. I mean, the fact that look, full well, if you wanted to change that search engine priority in Google from Earth is flat, you could make it in just a few lines of code, and that thing goes away. You never ever have to see that again.
That's right.
If you're in YouTube, here's one of the big reasons.
Well, let me just jump in there. That's really interesting. If you go on to Facebook and try and type in Muslim terrorist, it won't let you. Okay, and if you try and spell fecking, one
Yeah,
feet, on your iPhone, it will give you ducking, right? So
yeah,
so, so they're controlling speech already.
yeah,
And so the kids are learning new language. So
yeah,
this is a very good point, actually, right? So they're
yeah.
not controlling the
Nope.
release of this content across the the interweb,
Yeah,
whilst people like, let's say, Sophia Smallstorm from about the sky.com, or sophiasmallstorm.com, she
yeah,
has been um, um, she's been restricted into what she can say, because she's been very much talking about a certain element of society that are
sure,
behind this.
sure.
So continue, because I haven't thought about this very much, and
The
that goes back to your point, which is type in Earth is and see what comes up, people, and
yeah.
you will get Earth is flat.
Yeah, and that's changed only in the last few months. And the flat Earth community has done this. It has changed it on its own, and they've carved it. They did that without mainstream help. They did this without marketing dollars. This was carved out of solid rock. But I ran into this. It was reinforced more and more from the people that contacted me. I have my email and my phone number out there, and I get a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, and I see this trend where people are saying, "Oh yeah, I was just watching conspiracies, and Google's got that autoplay that's been happening for the last year or two, and all of a sudden, flat Earth will just jump into the screen. I'll be watching a JFK video, and flat Earth will come on, or the right hand side where it says recommended for you, there'll be several flat Earth things, and if anyone knows anything about coding, it's the ultimate form of control when it comes to information." And that is, if you don't want people to ever see flat Earth, it is all of like 2 or 3 lines of code, and all you do is you say, if you see any video with flat and Earth next to it in the title, and you can make whatever variation you want, you don't recommend it to anybody ever. And it's the exact opposite. It gives, not only does it get recommended to a lot of people for no apparent reason, it also shows up in the autoplay to where if you're not paying attention to your machine, and I cannot tell you how many people I ran into where or listened to where they would say, oh yeah, I was just doing the dishes or working on a hobby, and all of a sudden some guy was talking about flat earth on the other side of the room, and it's like, and you're listening to it and you're going, wait, what's going on? And then after a while, it's, if you listen to it, remember, I treated flat earth kind of like the literal Pandora's box. If you listen to it for 2 or 3 minutes, it's in your head, and then you got to deal with it. And that's all. So yeah, this thing has not been repressed in any way, shape, or form. And I'll throw one more out at you. And that was the capper for me. When I knew that they wanted to sucker out was when Neil deGrasse Tyson went on national television, when he went on Comedy Central and did that whole drop the mic thing to the whole B.O.B. thing. First of all, the fact that B.O.B.
Hang on. I haven't seen this. So what? Explain exactly what happened, and I'll find the clip and I'll insert it here.
Oh, yeah. You won't be able to find it anywhere else except for Comedy Central. All you have to do is type in Neil deGrasse Tyson Flat Earth, and you'll find the Comedy Central thing. Because Comedy Central, they are no joke about copyright strikes. And everybody that has tried to reproduce that has gotten struck down. And what happened was, you heard about the B.O.B. thing.
Hang on. When you say reproduce it, you mean take the clip and use it again?
Yeah, use it again in YouTube. They won't let you do it. They're real stingy about that, and which is odd.
And I don't know what this B&B thing is either.
Okay, so there was a rapper, an American rapper named B.O.B. His initials B.O.B. And he was Grammy nominated, I think, in 2011. His biggest hit, I think, was Airplanes and something else. He's done a lot of collaborations. Actually pretty talented. And he came out end of last year or beginning of this year, actually. And he went on this big Twitter rant about how the earth is flat. And of course, one of his favorite guys was Eric Dubay and blah, blah, blah. And in fact, you can look up B.O.B., his Earth. He did a series of albums, Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. And the Earth one, which is, they're all anagrams, the Earth one was a domed, enclosed firmament structure. And he was real big on that. And he even called it, in one of his songs, he called out Neil deGrasse Tyson and used Neil deGrasse Tyson's clip from that university speech, which he gave, where he was saying that the Earth is actually an oblate spheroid and is actually pear-shaped. It's heavier on the bottom than the top. And he actually used like a minute of that in one of his songs, right? And in the song, he called, you can look up the lyrics, but he called out Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he said, Neil Tyson should loosen up his vest. That man's probably getting one hell of a check, because Neil deGrasse Tyson is about as deep as you can get on this, without being military, well, at least complete military. And so anyway, so Neil deGrasse Tyson, so he's the world's most popular scientist right now. Right? No question. I mean, the man, and the reason is honestly because of his camera presence. Everyone knows that follow the Americans' example, which is, if you want to be a major power figure, you've got to, especially politically, you've got to be good on camera, which is why you have people like a Barack Obama. But they've learned this for a number of years. It's like the person has to be good on camera. And
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bedtime for Bonzo. Exactly. Ronald Reagan. Or the fact that that Arnold Schwarzenegger was being toyed with as being president, and Jesse Ventura was the governor of Minnesota, and so on and so on. But he, where is I going with this? Oh yeah, so Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's actually, when you look at him, no, he's not the best physicist. He's not even in the top 500 physicists, as far as academic credentials, but he's extremely good on camera. He is a cross between Bill Cosby and Sinbad. The comedian, if you remember Sinbad from years ago. So, I mean, really, he does public speaking. He doesn't do debates. He get him on camera, and he's excellent. And he's done more movie roles this year than he ever has. I mean, and we're not talking small roles. We're talking about, he did Zoolander 2, where he literally was the last frame in the movie. I still can't figure out why that was. He did voiceovers for Ice Age, the last Ice Age movie. Oh, and he played himself in Superman versus Batman. He did all those things in 1 year, and we're not even done yet. I don't even know what else he's doing. But the point was, they're pushing him on camera more and more. Why does this make a difference?
Yeah, they're pushing him.
They say the writing's on the wall. I'll teach my children to think big rather than small. They say that nothing can be done. I'd rather learn to walk and walk so later I can run. Almost didn't make it. Years I lost my way. Almost didn't make it to this place at this time. Lost my love, found my life. I like to strike a match in you, light up the universe so you can see the view. How can you say that this is wrong? As you were born to live and live the way that you were born. Almost didn't make it. Years I lost my way. Almost didn't make it to this place at this time. Lost my love, found my life. Yeah, I was struck and dazed when I got cold drunk. And now I'm sober for many reasons that I just want to illuminate. Yeah, I was struck and dazed when I got cold drunk. Imagine nothing can be done. 10,000 angels crying toppled one by one. I do believe that there is hope. We'll find the love we'll need, we'll find this love so we can cope. Almost didn't make it. Years I lost my way. Almost didn't make it to this place at this time. Lost my love, found my life. Almost didn't make it. Years I lost my way. Almost didn't make it to this place at this time. Lost my love, found my life.
So B.O.B. does this thing, and you'd think that the world's most popular physicist would not address it. It's beneath him. It's a rapper, right? Not knocking rappers, but rappers and physicists don't really go hand in hand. So Neil deGrasse Tyson gets in a Twitter battle with him, and they're tweeting back and forth. And Neil's nephew, who he wanted to help become a rapper, and that's never going to happen. You know, there's a million rapper wannabes out there. His nephew helps him make a song called Fact or Flat, where, you know, Neil does kind of a monologue. He doesn't sing or rap or anything, where he's going against B.O.B. And then he follows it up less than 48 hours later by going on a show called Comedy Central and doing a monologue, a 7-minute monologue about how the earth is round. And I know I'm not going to swear on your show, but he actually swears in the freaking show. It says the earth is effing flat, or isn't effing flat. But here's the thing. When he comes out there, and yeah, of course, the audience was coached, and you know, you were going ooh ah, you know, because he's trying to diss B.O.B. and all this, to the point where at the very end he drops the mic, you know, and says this is gravity, you know, and then walks off the stage posing and flexing his muscles, blah blah. What was interesting was there, as I was listening to him, because at this point I've heard pretty much every argument there ever could be against the flat Earth, you know, the globe versus flat. I've heard all the arguments, I've heard all the debates, and you know the American golfer Tiger Woods, you probably know the term bringing your A game. He was I think the guy that coined that. Neil deGrasse Tyson didn't bring anything to that argument. I mean, what I mean was I'm not saying that he was a bad debater or anything. he didn't bring even the top 10, any of the top 10 points that you would use against the flat earth. Not only that, but it seemed like he went out of his way. It was like a token appearance where, look, he came out there and did a speech that involved math and some trig and some geometry. I'm going, this is Comedy Central. There's a lot of mouth breathers that watch some of these shows. It's like, look, you gotta dumb this down for the lowest common denominator. He brought no movies, no graphics, no pictures, nothing. There was nothing in the background. It was just him and the audience. It's like, what? You should be flashing so much stuff on the screen simultaneously that you're just dazzling people with images. In fact, I was thinking as I'm watching, I was going, why is he taking 7 minutes to do this? All you have to do is bring 10 seconds of clip from the Himawara satellite, the geostationary satellite. And granted, of course, it's a fake, but at least it shows a globe with weather patterns moving. That's all your average person on the street needs. That's all the reinforcement they need. That's all you do. You put that up in the corner. You say, here's the blah, blah, blah satellite. It was that, well, by the way, coincidentally, just announced in the middle of 2015 for no apparent reason. And you do that, and your monologue is 2 minutes long, and then you drop the mic, and then you walk off the stage. He did none of those things. Why would you not use this? Why would you not use that? In fact, it kind of followed the NASA protocol, which is you went out of your way not to show anything. Why not? And that's when I knew right then. It's like, look, this thing is the opposite of being repressed. Of course, you bring him out. And it's this. It seems like he's doing something, but actually it's worse because the more now that you've got all these people, it amplified the BOB thing to where every major media, and you can look this up, Neil deGrasse Tyson versus BOB, every major media thing outlet, and I don't care if it was a website or a magazine or a podcast, everybody covered it at some point. To where I had a friend of mine who is absolutely not a conspiracy person out in the middle of Indiana call me and say, she goes, you're never going to, she subscribes, she doesn't watch very much media. One of his NPR, if you've ever heard of it, in the States, National Public Radio, super intellectual, super conservative. And she goes, you're never going to guess what I have on my NPR alert on my phone. She's going, why is Neil deGrasse Tyson debating BOB? She goes, do you have anything to do with this? I go, actually, I do. Because BOB's used some of my quotes before.
Right.
And so anyway, the point is long roundabout thing, was that it's not being repressed in any way. As a matter of fact, they're doing subtle things to reinforce it because BOB by himself looks a little crazy, kind of like when Tila Tequila came out on Flat Earth. But BOB versus Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's a story. That's too juicy to pass up. And so all of a sudden it gets into the public consciousness to where now everybody knows this story. Oh yeah, I didn't say, so now you can bring it up again and people won't laugh at it as much. In fact, I've been waiting really for the heavy hitter celebrity, the third celebrity. There's a military saying, and that is the first time is happenstance, the second time is coincidence, the third time is enemy action. And I've been waiting for the third celebrity. I really thought it was the tenor, if you knew what that story that came out a few months ago. There's a Canadian singing group called the Tenors, very, very famous if you're into the whole, formal singing stuff. And one of them decided after the whole, you've heard of Black Lives Matter, during the whole shooting thing. Well, he came out, he was offended by that. And so during they were singing the Canadian national anthem at an American All-Star game, and he changed it to, he held up a sign calling All Lives Matter. And he literally changed the Canadian national anthem, 2 lines in it, because he was doing the solo part of it. And why did I bring this up? Well, he was fired almost immediately after that. But what's interesting is several of the news media dug into him, and he's also a flat earther. Now, he didn't, I'll hold up a flat earth sign. That would have been the ultimate, it's like, hold that up during an American game. But that's what we're kind of waiting for is this, the next celebrity to come out and really dig into it.
This is what worries me, to be fair.
Yeah.
If the powers that be want the conversation to take place, they want it to take place for a particular reason. So, as an example, there's a community around the world called the Full Circle Project, where individuals are meeting with other individuals who are anti-government, basically. Okay, Now,
Yeah.
the head of that particular project is a good lady called Louise Sutton. When I spoke to Louise about Flat Earth, she said, "PSYOP, ignore it, move on." Okay, but clearly you can't move on from a conversation like this. That would revolutionize the entire planet, right?
Yeah.
If we're not on a globe, that means we're not hurtling through the universe at 666 million miles an hour, whatever it is, but it is 666. You know, the sun and the moon then become questionable. I think the moon's very questionable anyway.
Yeah.
And the whole his Tory history that I studied up to A levels is questionable. The wars, everything. The financial system's questionable. The political situation is questionable. Religions are questionable. I've got an ex-girlfriend who works for UNICEF, and she thinks she's saving the world. Of course, I've got a different point of view about UNICEF and the United Nations, the peacekeeping force. They've been in more wars than anyone else since the Second World War. But if Flat Earth is trending at #1 on Google, right?
Yeah.
And Google is part of DARPA, and DARPA is part of a very dark, insidious institution that wants total control over the population of this planet, then I have to question Flat Earth. I've got to question where it's coming from. I've got to question why I'm interested in it and what it really means to me. My ultimate goal here is to find out about God. However, I assess that on a day-to-day basis, because God either is or he isn't. You're either on a flat Earth or you're on a globe, and these are the kind of questions that are absolutely distinct to me right now. It is very interesting that you have this mainstream scientist going up against some mainstream pop idol. That is very, very interesting. And again, it's a red flag for me. You know, I think you're seeing this movement as valid to valid. What's validification?
Verification.
Verification.
Or vindication.
Yeah, either or, to vindicate the topic of flat Earth. But we still don't have 100% proof either way. It's still in the balance. I'm still not convinced 100%. David Weiss and you would agree, flat Earth, end of story. Let's move on. But everything is seemingly in this environment, in this construct, is a psyop. We are being manipulated from start to finish. Now that's something I want to get to the bottom of, and I think flat Earth is part of that bigger conversation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is. Yes, of course. Things we've been manipulated our whole lives, and people that are in power. I mean, I've gone off on rants on my website where when I started looking into just about every major American war that we've ever done, the old saying, the kinder version is that history is written by the winners, but the darker version is actually by Napoleon, who said history is just lies that are agreed upon. And, by a group of men basically sit in a room. It's like, okay, how are we going to spin this? Exactly. I still do firmly believe, and honestly, you got a point there where it's like, yeah, am I a 100% on the flat Earth? I am personally, but can I actually convey that to anyone without the backing of mainstream, which is unfortunate because we all know mainstream is completely, corrupted and controlled at this point to where even the elections, I had someone ask me recently, it's like, why would you fake the Hillary footage? Why would you fake some of this? I was going, look, if it's all a done deal ahead of time, then why would you think of it the other way? Why would you want random political activities? You want to make as many staged events as you can, because like, why take chances? Why bring her into a crowd of people where you don't know the outcome?
Yeah, but you have to stage Hillary, because Hillary's not well enough to go out there.
There's that too, and even the rumor is a great little psyop, which is, look, if you want to paint Obama even a better light, it's like, okay, yeah, Hillary isn't maybe that bad, but a very ill Hillary, well, it's like, now you don't want her at all. It's like, what if she dies? You know why? In fact, then you have to question, it's like, why would she even run at all if her health is that bad? I mean, you're gonna put her in her office, then you could, like, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was running our thing during World War II. Yeah, he had polio and he was always sitting down or in a car and stuff like that, but at least his health was okay. Anyway, as far as the psyop goes, I and I feel bad because there's truthers out there who there's actually three parts to the whole flat Earth thing. There are three camps right now. There's pro flat Earth. There's people that are actually against it, and then there's another group that say, yeah, flat Earth may be a topic, but like you can, they don't trust it. There's something going on in the background. And so you got some heavy hitting truthers out there, which are saying, look, it's a psyop. It's part of something. They don't know what it is, but because they can't trust it, they can't validate it. So they still think it's a bunch of crap and it's a psyop, but they don't really know which way to go. So it's like, okay, but the psyop part trumps, no play on words there, trumps the any arguments against flat Earth. So they'll say, look, I don't want to even debate flat Earth. I'm not going to give any scientific points. But yeah, is it part? Do I think it's a psyop in that it's part of something bigger? Yeah, of course I do. Everything that I've seen, to even down to the single person, me, where people have said, well, haven't you had any government officials? Hasn't anybody come to you, threatened you? And I go, I was expecting it like in the first 3-4 months, maybe. It's like some suits and sunglasses show up at my door and they offer you two things. They offer you two briefcases. One has a bunch of money in it. One has a gun in it. They give you the carrot and the stick at the same time. They say, you choose which one. Which one. Yeah,
take
which
the
one
money.
you're going take the money or take the gun. And I've said, well, it's a little different for me because, I never got married, never had kids, and I'm in too deep. I can't. And plus, I hate to say this because I don't want to bring Joe Rogan into it again, but I don't want to ever be known as the Joe Rogan principle. If you know who he is, where it's like, look up, all you have to do is go on YouTube and type in the Joe Rogan mystery. It's like, look, he was a conspiracy guy. He was a truther. And especially he didn't like the American space program. He said it's a bunch of crap. And then all of a sudden he flipped. And now he's got his own thing, and he won't ever say why he flipped. It's like, no, I believe in the space program. And anyone else is insane. And I feel bad. And the reason why I bring him up is that he has just gone after flat Earth with a hatred. He's brought flat Earth up on at least, because he does a daily show, at least 10 different shows. In fact, one just this last week where he's calling people, calling them names and saying it's horrible. And he's the one that says it's a psyop. In fact, he goes so far as to say that we're being trolled, that the conspiracy world is being trolled, and that flat Earth is there. Let me say this, that flat Earth, there's quite a few people that says that flat Earth is here to destroy the truth movement and make all truthers seem insane. I disagree completely, because if anything, it is the ultimate open-minded test, and all truthers should look at this and say, look, fine, you believe in aliens, you bring in reptilians, you believe in the Illuminati, and everyone's got their thing. Why do you not at least even look at this? And it's like, well, because it's insane, and they get angry. And I go, do you even know why you're getting angry? You're getting angry because of the conditioning you've had. You don't even know why you're so upset. I could bring up any topic, and it doesn't matter if it's conspiracy or not. I mean, mainstream topics like stem cell research or abortion or black rights or gay rights or you take your pick, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Nobody gets as hot as they do about this thing, and you got to wonder why. Yeah, part of it's because of the conditioning, and the other is it's the only conspiracy you can't, like what you're saying, you can't ignore it entirely. You can't run away from it. You don't want to believe in 9/11, fine. You live outside the United States, you probably don't care anyway. You don't believe in JFK, fine. You'll never look that again. There's a lot of secrets that are buried in the desert that you're never ever going to know. But this questions everything, including the whole idea of God, which is why the religious institutions have latched onto this, especially Christianity. It is the ultimate.
In what way? In what way has Christian Church, has the church latched onto flat Earth?
It is their secret weapon that they didn't even know they had against science. Science and the division between science and religion. In fact, Einstein has his problems, but he was probably the most quotable man in history because he was clever. He said that the reason that science and religion will never see eye to eye is because science is stagnant and religion is blind. They can never, science will never, they will never make leaps of faith, and religion will never look at the facts. It's all faith for them. So religion, when they look at this, they say, what I said in the clues, which was they believe that the Bible literalists, that's where we're really getting into. In fact, now there's wars that are breaking out between Bible literalists and over the definition of being a Bible literalist. It's like they can believe all sorts of stuff, but when they look, it's like, okay, are there references to the earth being flat? And they see this as a reaffirmation of the Bible. And what you were saying, look, you can't be on the fence about this. If this isn't a globe, if it was a domed dome or not, if it was a created system, then that means there's a creator. And if there's a creator, then
everything changes.
Everything changes. It's like
in the Bible they talk about the firmament.
Yeah, they do. They do.
It says it in the Bible. I've never read the Quran, but it says it in the Bible.
Genesis 1:6, or and even the creepy things. I mean, yeah, I could go on and on about the earth is fixed and immovable, or the story of Joshua, how he asked God to hold the sun and the moon in the sky, which was interesting. Why not hold the earth? Why do you have to hold the sun and the moon in the sky? Or the Tower of Babel, where was that thing going? If the earth is spinning and moving through space. What got me, the little things, was again, you guys can look this up, was the Wernher von Braun headstone. Where someone mentioned this to me, and they go, "What's Wernher von Braun's headstone?" And you type it in, and it's very modest. It's not like this giant man, standing pointing to the sky and this big cement thing. It is literally his year he was born, the year he died, and then below it says Psalms 19:1. And I don't know chapter verse very well, and I go, "What the heck is Psalms 19:1?" And it's pretty simple. And it says, "And the firmament shows his handiwork." It's like, why would the father of NASA be talking about a domed structure, in the sky? Why would that be his parting words? Is he speaking out from the grave? Of all the quotes you wanted to give, about mankind or anything, why would you say that? So yeah, the Christianity, I mean, yeah, the other four big religions, of course, are latching on into it as well. But Christianity's really jumped on this because it gives them ammunition against science. I mean, it really, because it's an all or nothing thing. Because if this turns out to be true, then all of a sudden, think about it. You go back to science and you say, yeah, so you were wrong about this. And what else it questions not all science, but like, what else are you wrong about? Oh yeah, by the way, it was in our literature for thousands of years, which means we were right about this. And then people, think of the masses. What else was religion right about? And then it's a huge paradigm shift. And of course, it brings in, of course, for me, the big question was, regardless if God shows up, if everyone figures it out and the mainstream media announces it, and whether or not God shows up, it puts into question accountability, which is, we all know that, which is, why the Apollo astronauts wouldn't put their hand on their Bible and swear they went to the moon, which is, it makes it very, very real. We all know about the naughty and nice list of Santa Claus, right? You're either naughty or you're nice, on Santa Claus. But no one really takes it seriously. But you would take it a lot more seriously if all of a sudden you went down to your living room one night and Santa was in there eating cookies. Then you got to take it way, way more seriously.
That's right.
If God is real, do you keep doing the things you do now? And the perfect example I gave was the stoplight one, which was in the United States. And I don't know if you've got them where you guys are, but we have a money-making thing where we put cameras hooked up to stoplights. If you run the red light, you get a picture taken of it, and they just mail you your ticket. And here's the thing. If you take that stoplight, or if you take the camera off the stop, okay, all intersections start without these lights, or without these cameras on them. But once the cameras are put on them, almost nobody runs the red light. Why not? And I've asked people, and they go, well, because I'll get caught. I go, then why were you thinking about running it in the first place, man? And it's because of accountability. Are you going to do the things? Are you going to go to war? Is anyone going to kill anybody? Are you going to kidnap anybody? Oh, let's go so far as to, are you going to steal anything ever again? Are you going to take those chances? That's why I use the astronaut example, which was, yeah, the astronauts, can you even lie under oath? If you're going to roll those dice, you're going to take that chance. I will never do a malicious thing against anyone ever again. I can't. And I don't even know 100% for sure. I'm only 99% sure because I got a funny feeling that everything we do and say is tracked. And I think for the most part, you don't necessarily get a pass, but I think it's amplified once you know as well. If you believe in karma, I think once you know for sure, then you have no excuse. Because
Well,
oh, wait.
it is interesting because everything is tracked. Okay,
Yeah.
by you go onto Google, everything that I've ever typed in has been collated,
Yes.
and there's a history beyond the history. And I'm sure so I can go into my Google account and turn off the history of that Google account. But beyond that, there'll be another record of everything that I've searched for in my associated with this IP address. And
Oh, yeah. That's an excellent point, and in fact, I may use that, which is I'll extrapolate on this, which is there's lots of things, and people know this. If you're a good internet person, if you're a good tech person, there's certain things you don't type into a search engine, whether you're a conspiracy guy or not, because you got this funny feeling that somebody, and there's some things I won't say on air, but there's other things you can't type in, like how to make a bomb, how to do this, how to sell children into white slavery. There's certain things you don't type in because you know full well if you type in enough stuff, that information is fired off to a database and collated, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, send somebody out. Yeah, like for example, I'll throw this out there. You would never type in. People think I'm kidding. You would never type in how to kill the president. Regardless of what president it is, there's certain things you don't type in because in the back of your head, you know that it's being watched, and that's just us being watched. Imagine a system where everything is tracked.
Well, that's right, and that's what you're talking about. We're talking about AI, we're talking about worldly stuff, but there's the same system that's beyond our five senses. There is a system of karma, whatever you want to call it. There is a system of right and wrong that I know in the pit of my stomach when I'm doing something right and I feel good about it. And I also know when I'm doing something wrong and I feel bad about it. And the more I can be a good person, the better my life becomes. The darker I get, the darker my world becomes. And my experience of life comes from the inside rather than the outside in. It's the inside out. And it's an inside job. I just want to go back to Joe Rogan because as you're speaking about Joe Rogan, he's really good friends with Alex Jones. What's your opinion of these, high-profile alternative media conspiracy guys? If we just take Alex as an example.
When you get to certain levels, I believe, and it's been going. It's no big secret. I mean, when you the best way to the best way to crush an opposition is to control it, something like that. I don't know the exact quote, but it's true. But you don't have to give them everything. Like I'll use the Joe example before I get to Alex, which was Joe Rogan mysteriously changed from against NASA to pro NASA. And all they gave him, apparently, other than maybe the threat, was they gave him one season on the Sci-Fi Channel, gave him a brand new show on the Sci-Fi Channel. And they basically said, look, it'd be up to you to get the ratings. We're not going to carry you through this. And he only ran one season and then it was canceled. And he went for that. He went for that carrot. With a lot of these guys, any carrot is worth going for. So what did they give Alex Jones? Probably not that much by comparison. Yeah, he gets to rub elbows with some of the mainstream guys, and he's more high profile. All he has to do is keep up the whole manic yelling.
Well, hang on. I think his marriage settlement, something like 2.3 million. He's got to pay his wife for his upcoming divorce.
Well, there you go.
And there are rumors. Alex never talks about. He never attacks Jews. In Israel. he's meant to.
Well, why you can't really in the mainstream media is, and I'm not picking on groups here because I can't. I consider myself a pure flat earther, but there are so many Jewish people in the entertainment industry. You can't. You cannot. You will never see a show anywhere in mainstream that, called "All Jewish People Must, be suppressed and then killed." You're never going to see that show.
No, and neither should you. I've
No.
got lots of Jewish mates, and
Yeah.
and they're great fun, and really good people. But there is a very small percentage of Kosovo Jews who have generated and developed this Zionist movement, which I believe to be very destructive. Moving forward.
I hear you, but I'm sorry. When it comes to Alex, though, or anybody else, and Alex is probably the top of that heap right now, is they're given certain carrots and they're allowed to talk about some things, but there's certain things they're not allowed to talk about. And I'll give you this where. Because I've seen it now in 3 different people, one of which I actually got on their show, which was George Norrie, which was they all of them are pro-NASA. And I thought that was interesting. In fact, George didn't even tell me until we were on air, and he made sure it was like he was almost baiting me. Like he goes, you challenge this, I will cut you off, and that'll be it. We'll end this show early, which was just to let you know I believe completely in the moon missions. And it's like, fine, from a flat Earth standpoint, I've got other avenues I can go down. I don't need NASA. NASA is very, very helpful. But it was interesting that Alex is on the same boat, and so is Joe Rogan.
That's right. That's right.
And it's like, why? And now all these guys will talk about all sorts of other fun things and secret societies and different aspects of the conspiracy world, but none of them will touch NASA.
Now,
and granted, it's like...
Now, let me just jump in there. NASA was created post-Second World War, post-Operation Paperclip, which brings me back to my Jewish thread, where leading Jewish Nazis were brought back from Germany into South America, into the UK, and into North America. And a lot of them went into high-profile positions in the CIA and set up NASA.
Yeah. I mean, NASA NASA's a very, very clever organization because it is...
It's a lie. That's the first thing.
It's not. Yeah, it's not just a lie, but it is. Everyone thinks because they wear white outfits, they don't carry guns, and they smile for the camera whenever they can, that they're not part of the military-industrial complex. It's like, look, they were founded. They're part of the DoD, the Department of Defense. They were founded. They're unique. They were founded on military technology.
They were.
Their rockets were basically an ongoing experimental ICBM missile system that they said, oh yeah, we're putting people on the top of these and we're sending them into space. So it's an ingenious operation. But then once you look into it deeper and deeper, the one of the quotes I love so much is that nothing is ever what it first appears to be. No. And that is it with NASA. Now I look at them because again, it made so much. It clicked so much with me when I first got into flat Earth because it answered a question for me that I'd been burning in my head for 10 years, which is like, why would the Americans fake the space program? Why would you spend that much money to do all this just so you can say that you've got a flag up there? And it's like, it's good. You can say, oh, yeah, because they're Americans. That's just what they do. It's ego. Going, yeah, it's pretty good. But then once I got into the flat Earth thing, I was like, oh, I get it. It's not that they didn't even want to fake the moon. They had to. You have to fake the moon. You have to fake the space program. You have to fake everything about it. And you've got to keep the private sector at it. Look at the SpaceX explosion, which just happened a few days ago.
Yeah.
No one's going anywhere. No. And the Mars mission, the Orion program, they keep saying, oh, yeah, we're going to Mars, we're going to Mars. No one's going to Mars.
No, it's an enclosed system. The rockets, there's great video footage of some guy catching the shuttle launch in an aeroplane. And it bows over and across across the ocean. And of course, I think every single astronaut in history has been a Freemason. Yeah.
And that goes really without saying because Freemasonry, their big thing is all about secrets. That's right. And even I've heard the stories and I fully believe it, which is you you bring them, even if they're not Masons, you make them Masons.
Yep.
Because it's really, you go through the degrees, you give them a crash course, and you say, look, you've got to keep the secret. You got to keep the secret. That's all. The drumbeat of the Masonic, despite all the other stuff is involved. It's like, here's some really interesting things. You're going to keep it secret. You're going to keep it secret. So by the time, they ramp them up to 32 degrees, I think all of them, they ramp up to 32 really quickly. By the time they get there, they're basically, it's like, no matter what happens, you keep the secret. On top of that, 95% of all astronauts are military anyway. So, they've signed disclosure agreements, but yeah, it's reinforcements. But yeah.
Mark,
but
go on.
The Apollo, I still do believe, even now, that the Apollo astronauts were told of exactly why they were faking it, but since psychologically they had such a hard time with it, every other astronaut after that was basically just signed a piece of paper that said, look, you don't even have a clearance to ask. You're faking this. You don't, it's just another piece of the puzzle. You compartmentalize them. And so, yeah, that's why the ISS guys don't seem to have any psychological side effects. They don't crawl into a bottle or, hide behind their doors and don't do any public speaking. Look at Scott Kelly real quick, which was, he spent supposedly a year in space, longest man ever. He gets down and 2-3 days later, he quits. He quits NASA entirely. It's like, what? You're not going to do your book tour? You're not going to do your public speaking tour? Why? Why'd you quit?
So where's he gone?
Don't know. Probably got a consultant job somewhere.
Just disappeared.
Yeah. He's not. And of course, he was the one. I'll throw this one. I don't know how much more you want to go, but there was an interesting thing where I remember, because I've been telling people how there was only one blue marble shot taken from 1972 until summer of last year. What was interesting is that I read the press briefing of the blue marble shot of last year, right? It was, you can go to whitehouse.gov or nasa.gov and all this stuff. And, Neil deGrasse Tyson, tweeted it, and Obama did a little speech on it, blah, blah, blah. You know who wrote that press briefing?
Go on.
Scott Kelly.
Scott Kelly, yeah, there you go.
Scott Kelly wrote the press briefing. It's like, why would and he wrote it supposedly from space. It's like, why would he be writing this? He'd be doing this press briefing from space. He doesn't have anything better to do. That's the guy that's going to write your press briefing.
See, I've got a friend called Ole Damagard, and Ole, he tracks all the false flags, and he looks at them. He works out whether they're real or not, with his opinion. And he believes that there's a small production team that goes from site to site. And when you go through the Brussels attack, French attack, and so on and so forth, the same characters are being used time and time again.
Yep.
There's one kid, I forget his name, but he's been in 4 bomb attacks, terrorist bomb attacks.
What are the odds?
Exactly, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that there's a very small community right at the top who are pulling the strings, and they keep it very much on the inside, what's really going on. So Mark Sargent, from Flat Earth fame to global world destruction, you've kind of thrown out more questions than answers for me this afternoon. How can people get in contact with you, and what do you expect you'll be getting up to running up to Christmas?
Okay, easiest way to get a hold of me, the free site is enclosedworld.com. The subscription site is marksargent.com. I've got a podcast on Truth Frequency Radio. There's a book called Flat Earth Clues, The Sky's the Limit. The apps are also called the Flat Earth Clues. But honestly, if you want to get into this, don't just look at my stuff. All you have to do is go into any search engine, type in Flat Earth. And that's it. Or Flat Earth Clues if you want to find my stuff. Go into YouTube, type in Flat Earth or The Earth is Flat, and you will see the most amazing wall of content. And I really envy anyone that's getting into this for the first time, because it'll be overwhelming and you're not going to sleep for weeks. As far as what I'm doing up until Christmas, I am keeping doing what I'm doing. Doing more interviews, doing more podcasts, interviewing more people. Subject matter experts. They still contact me, and in fact, I've got a statement I'm probably going to read on Tuesday by a family of aviators, a whole family that is now completely on board with this.
Wow,
which is really great. And other than that, just waiting to see, in the United States, where I'm kind of holding my breath anyway, because the election's coming up here in 2 months. And, because I think it's the first week of November. And I still, in the back of my mind, even though it sounds surreal, I don't know if that election's going to happen.
Well, they tend to like October for financial collapses, and the markets are just booming. They're pumped up
Yeah,
so much.
yeah,
Those markets could come down, and we could have something fall out of the sky, and they could say no elections this time round. That
yeah.
is a major conversation that's taking place. Mark Sargent, you have been absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much from Europe, and we hope to speak to you soon.